Hello, this is Conquering History Games, and it is time for another introductory guide to Kaiserreich. Today, I will be talking about the Combined Syndicates of America, and there he is, the man, the myth, the legend, the leader of the CSA, Jack Reed himself. Much like the American Union states, the Combined Syndicates of America is not a country that appears at the start of the game. So to explain how they spawn, we have to go back to the Day in September event as the United States. At the Day in September event, which you may know if you've already seen my introductory guide to the United States video, you get the choice where you can decide to have Douglas MacArthur become the leader of the United States and the military junta takes over. If you do this, the Civil War will absolutely happen, and if you are trying to become the CSA as quickly as possible, this might be the best choice. However, just to demonstrate what happens if the elections go ahead and you choose to do the President Reed route, I wanted to show what happens very briefly. Also, while I'm at this screen, in my American Union State introductory guide, there were some people in the comments mentioning that if you're going to become the American Union State, you should elect President Reed, because if you elect President Long, the Combined Syndicates of America get an additional state. And yes, this is true. However, I was just showing President Long's tree to demonstrate what would happen, because I'm sure that most people who want to play as the American Union State, they would think, oh, I have to elect President Long because I want Huey Long. Anyway, let's cut ahead to the elections. Again, just for demonstrative purposes, we are going to show what happens if you select Jack Reed. Yes, if you select Huey Long when the Civil War happens, and it definitely will happen, then you get an extra state. However, one state, particularly the ones that switch over, is not a huge deal. So if you select Jack Reed, you're going to lose 100 political power, but the popularity of syndicalists will go up. This is because he is considered the most outside dark horse candidate in terms of likely winning. And so now you've bypassed the focus. President Reed is the head of the United States. Everything should be fine, right? Well, let's start researching the Labor Relations Act to replace the Great Depression and see exactly what happens. I'll give you, there's a big hint right here. And as usual, whoever wins the election, everybody else is going to complain about it, and you're going to lose political power. A few months after the inauguration of Jack Reed, in fact, the very moment that you finish his final national focus, you will get some pop-ups regarding General MacArthur, and in this scenario, I tried to remove MacArthur from office because I was informed that he was plotting with Huey Long to remove me from office. So when that happens, MacArthur seizes power, and then Jack Reed flees to Chicago, which is the base of the Confederate States of America. So now MacArthur is in control, as you can see here. And if you wanted, you can begin to go down his focus tree, although if you're going to go the General MacArthur route, there's really no reason not to do it in September. So if we advance a few days, we get the pop-up that American democracy has ended, and then Reed will declare the worker state, and then here is where you can become the Combined Syndicates of America. So as the Combined Syndicates of America, initially you have New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Wisconsin, and Michigan. So essentially you have the core of where all the workers live in the United States. And there's going to be a lot of things that happen very quickly. For example, right now you may notice I have no military divisions. However, if we just let the calendar advance a little bit, the United States quickly declares war on you, but you get some Rust Belt resources. You have the rise of the militias, so you see I now have military units that I can select. Then you also could decide if you want to declare war on the United States or not. Just go ahead and do it. It's free political power, essentially. Although it would be interesting, perhaps in like a multiplayer game, if everybody decided to not go to war with each other and you just had all these peaceful versions of the United States. I don't know, work that out with your friends. And you also get the Second American Revolution, where you can decide who is going to be the Secretary of the Chamber. I don't want to get too much into the details of how the CSA is structured. If you guys want, if I get some feedback telling me you want to, I could perhaps do like a whole lore video on just the CSA, like how it came to be in their world and stuff like that. But I'm going to go with the William Z. Foster Disciplined Army of Labor for now. Don't get too hung up on that decision. The major political decisions will happen much later. So let's go over the portions of the national focus tree that you can do for right now. Of course, you cannot go for any foreign policy because the Second American Civil War isn't over. That's par for the course with the break-off states. The Second Constitutional Convention also is not unlocked until the Second American Civil War is over. And again, same thing for Reconstructing America, not unlocked until the Second American Civil War is over. So really, you've got 4 directions you can go in. You can go down your People's Liberation Army, which is, this is your army focus tree. You have, yeah, in fact, let's just start here. Now, the People's Liberation Army, of course, you get a land doctrine bonus right out of the gate. Then you have your first exclusive decision to make. You can either support the militias, where you get the militia-based army national spirit. The important thing is this leads to mass mobilization or military auto unions. So essentially, if you're going to go mass assault doctrine, you're going to want to go this way. If you want to go mobile warfare, you go this way. The well-regulated army is where you actually get more organized, and you can then go grand battle plan, or you could go superior firepower. And I particularly like these because it gives you a good reason why this is the best idea in each one here, as far as how their ideology works. You also can get women in the fight, which gives you a plus 5% recruitable population factor, which is cool. For the People's Liberation Air Force, you can either go battlefield support or strategic destruction. Those are really your only options here. So if you're somebody who likes operational integrity, this probably isn't the nation to play. Then over here you have the People's Liberation Navy, where you can go fleet in being or base strike doctrine. Again, if you're somebody who likes trade interdiction, for example, this is not the way to go. If you don't play the CSA, if you want to do that. Then over here is war syndicalism. So this can look a bit big and scary, but this is sort of it's sort of a choose your own flavor as far as building up your industrial base. It's essentially like most of the syndicalist countries in the Kaiserreich mod. The syndicalists are also from within factionalized. So as you can see here, there's actually 3 countries that are called the Combined Syndicalists of America, but there's the Totalists, Syndicalists, and Radical Socialists. And this will help you decide, well, this is how you decide which of those branches of the combined syndicates whose industrial plan you will follow. But don't think that by doing one of these plans you've necessarily committed to that political ideological version of syndicalism. It just, if anything, it's just sort of explaining how they work, which is kind of cool. And then the wartime economy and working women here, you can take them both no matter which of the branches you take. Now, there's a lot of stuff going on in here, so I'll just leave it to you to read them on your own time. But don't feel that you've pigeonholed yourself by taking any one of these 3 branches of this focus tree. That's going to come later during the Second Constitutional Convention. That's when you have to start making some decisions. So for now, I'm going to leave you because I have a civil war to fight, and I will see you on the other side of it, and we'll talk about the Constitutional Convention. On second thought, in the interest of time, I just consul annexed the U.S. and the American Union states. If I ever do a CSA playthrough on my channel, I'll be sure to link it in the description so you can see the American Civil War being won, but it's really not that hard. Just concentrate on one or the other, and once you take out one, the other one will be surrounded. Don't go to war with Canada. It's not a good idea, because then the French are going to get involved in the Australasian coalition and stuff. It's just don't do it. And so the end of this American Civil War comes, and you now have many more national focuses available to you, such as the Second Constitutional Convention, which I'm going to show you now, so that you can understand the differences between the three branches and the consequences of the decisions that you make during this convention. Once the Second Constitutional Convention national focus is complete, you won't have actually made any decisions during it. That only starts the Second Constitutional Convention. So you just go ahead and welcome everybody, and you actually cannot select any of these yet. So just go ahead and research something else. I'm going to go research the Reed Doctrine. Now you will notice that Jack Reed is no longer the head of the Confederate States of America. It is now run by the actual Central Chamber Committee. And you'll be asked how the new republic will be structured. Now, I don't want to get too into the details of party popularity and such, because that's going to be beyond the scope of an introductory video, but just know that it is generally a good idea to pick all of one political party's plans. Now, sometimes you'll gain political party. For example, here, if you select Federalist plans wins, you'll get 20 political power. Down here, if the Unionists win, you'll lose 20 political power. There's going to be always some ups, some downs, and that doesn't just apply to the CSA. That applies to all the countries in Kaiserreich. It is much more important, especially if you are a beginner, to just go all in on a single political party so they can be more popular, and you can get bigger buffs from the of political power gain from the popularity of your party. So I'm going to go not into complete detail on all of these plans, but what you need to know is that whoever's plan wins, or whoever comes out on top over the course of the entire convention, decides which direction you will go down. So you have the centralized union, where obviously the centralists win, federalists where the federalists win, and unionists where the unionists win. And so you just want to kind of go through these and decide what your priorities are. And then down here at the Red Constitution, you get different national ideas based on which of these that you go down. And I'm actually going to keep quiet about that so you can discover it for yourself. I don't want to tell you which of these three to go down, but there is something you may want to keep in mind when you're deciding your plans. You're going to have to, the decision you make here is going to decide how you reconstruct America down here at this branch. So I'll just cut ahead to where that decision is. Eventually you will get the policy towards reactionaries decision, and it's going to decide, again, some 5% changes in popularity, but then you will get the new bureaucracy event. I'm just going to pick the leader shall be judged. Again, not telling you which way to go. I went with the Federalists, but I'm just demonstrating right here. So the new bureaucracy is what is going to decide which of these two branches of reconstructing America that you will go down. And you are going to need to do this so that you could eventually get rid of the recovering from the American Civil War national spirit, because this hurts you in various ways. So obviously if you pick the new civil service, you get to go down the new civil service branch, and state bureaucracy becomes the syndicalist bureaucracy. Now these two branches are almost the same. Their first focuses are the same. They both give you an additional research slot. The radio union and artistic unions do the same thing. However, the difference here is on the last focus of this branch. So if you go here, as opposed to founding the CIA will give you some decryption and less political power costs. And over here you're getting ideological monthly opinion and drift defense. And of course, either way, you will have less effect on partisans. Although this also gives you an ideological drift defense, it's yeah, they're virtually the same. But you want to decide that right here, and it might be a couple years before you finish this tree, depending on what your priorities are and the rest of the national focus is. But it's just something to keep in mind. I now want to talk about the only branch of the focus tree I haven't discussed in detail yet. If you've seen the foreign policy branch. Now, if you've seen my other USA country-related introductory guides, you already know that you can't take this until the Second American Civil War is over. And they all more or less look the same. Some slight differences here. For example, you have the Paris Summit, where you decide what you are going to do about Mexico. So Mexico usually will stay some sort of branch of syndicalism. That's what's going on here, as you see. However, sometimes they may not have gone syndicalist, and so you can still go to war with them, or you can get a friendship, increases the trade relations. Things can work out regarding any land they may have taken during the Second American Civil War. You also can go to war with Canada here. You have War Plan Purple, which is, again, it's just the Monroe Doctrine on crack. You start to turn all the like Central American and Caribbean countries into syndicalists. The Reclaiming America branch, which lets you take back these other pieces of land that broke away during the war, but you may not have necessarily been at war with. And perhaps most powerfully, you can join the Third International and become friends with Socialist Italy, the Commune of France, the Union of Britain, and anybody else who they've gotten to join in. So you become the big bad muscle of the International. And so that's usually what you're going to do. And this also allows you to go to war with Germany, and you can form your own research branch. And down here is the Pax Americana, which just gives you 150 political power once you've done everything else. I really think this maybe needs a buff. It's not actually that great. I've already said that, though, in my American Union State playthrough. So to wrap it up, let's talk about strengths and weaknesses of the Combined Syndicates of America. Well, for one thing, you are probably going to join the International, and so the Commune of France and Union of Britain will be there to help you out. I think just about everybody would agree that the Syndicalists are the strongest of the major political factions in Kaiserreich. It seems to be written that way, and so that if the German Empire or the Entente are able to defeat them, it's very impressive. So you don't have very many enemies directly near you, except for the break-off New England and Pacific States of America, which you could easily overwhelm with your huge industrial might. Canada is to the north. Again, you could overwhelm them rather easily. During the Civil War, I know I didn't show the playthrough of it, but as you see here, you actually are the industrial heartland of the United States. You have the most building slots, you can make the most factories, things like that, which is one of the reasons why the Combined Syndicates of America almost always win the Civil War, at least in my experience, during any Kaiserreich game. Also, getting New Jersey is very big, as well as Pennsylvania, because you can get a constant stream of support from your fellow syndicalist nations, such as Britain and France. And you just have all sorts of political events that fire off in your favor. So really, the only quote-unquote hard decision you ever have to make as the CSA is which branch that you want to go down to get your red Constitution national idea. Again, I'll keep that to myself. I'll let you discover it on your own. But between your industrial capacities and rebuilding the Americas after the war, you just have access to so much political power, so much industrial capacity, that the argument could definitely be made that the Combined Syndicates of America is the strongest potential country in the world, perhaps alongside however Russia forms itself. It's just such a juggernaut. As far as weaknesses go, you don't really have any. I mean, I guess you could say you don't make very much rubber or chromium. However, there is definitely those resources available nearby. I mean, Cuba has tons of chromium right there, and you have a national focus allowing you to take that. And as far as rubber, I mean, your industrial might is so big, you have so many building slots, that you could easily just begin to crank out a bunch of synthetic refineries. So I hope that this was helpful for you. and you now have a good idea of how the Combined Syndicates of America works, please let me know in the comments if there's anything I can do to improve future guides. And be sure to like this video if it helped you, and suggest to me other countries that you want me to do guides on in the future. And if you really enjoyed this and you want me to keep making more and at a faster rate, please support me on Patreon. There will be a link to it in the description, and you all have a great day.